Ellison. In this MinnPost Ask section, sponsored by Dorsey and Whitney and Padilla Spear Beardsley. Now, Devin Henry is the MinnPost Washington correspondent, and we are going to delve into some political issues from Washington. Congressman, you're welcome to have a seat right over there on the director's chair. Make yourself comfortable. I'll catch my breath from doing the boogie woogie oogie, and I'll hand the mic over to you. All right.
You guys are free to dance to us too if you want. We won't be as entertaining, but we'll do the best that we can, I promise. So, Congressman, you want to grab the microphone? Oh, no, never mind, we got it.
All right, now, are we going to sing or what?
We could. What do you know?
Let's go with, well, all right. Okay, you win. I'm in love with you. All right, I can't. That's all I know. Let's talk politics.
Let's talk politics. How was your summer?
You know, I've had an outstanding summer. I got in touch with the importance of disability accommodations in our city, the importance of curb cuts and railings. But I've had a great summer. It's been an interesting summer. It's been an opportunity to talk about the importance of One America, the importance of rebuild the American dream. It's been a time when we can come together and really talk about which direction our country must go in, because the debates in Washington have left in very stark relief two different competing visions of our country. And I've been honored to represent the people of Minnesota, standing up for things like One America, working people prosperity, jobs and good jobs now for all, rebuilding our nation's infrastructure. And I believe, these arguments are going to prevail because they represent the very best of what our country's about and what has brought our country forward in the past.
Now, of course, the big issue, the overwhelming issue this summer in Washington was really the debt ceiling debate.
Yeah.
Do you want to walk me through a little bit how that debate changed over the course of the summer, why it sort of ended up the way it did, and why you specifically opposed the final plan?
Well, let me tell you this. I always was and continue to be in favor of America paying its debts. I was on a letter way back in January and in March saying we should pass a clean debt ceiling. This is my position then, this is my position now. Ronald Reagan, he asked for the raising of the debt ceiling 18 times without conditions. George W. Bush, 7 times without conditions. All I wanted is what we've been doing in the past. The fact that our national economy would be held at risk unless we capitulated to the demands of some folks in Congress, I thought was a real shame. Now, let me also say that I believe in deficit reduction. I think our deficit is too high, and I believe we need to cut it. But the best way to cut it is to lower the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate is 9.1. If the unemployment rate was 5%, which is the normal unemployment rate, the deficit would be less than half of what it is, and we wouldn't even be fighting over this thing the way we are. So, I mean, the key is putting Americans back to work. More people working, more taxpayers, more government revenue, reduce deficit problems. So that has been the key. And so I've been advocating things like a national infrastructure bank, a public jobs bill, based on similar things that we did in the 1930s when we had massive unemployment, like the CCC, the Conservation Corps, like the Works Progress Authority, WPA. That generation of Americans saw massive unemployment among Americans, stepped forward and responded to an urgent need. What is our generation doing? We got to do something. We have 9.1% unemployment, and it's been that way for a very, very long time. Some people have run out of unemployment benefits, and we cannot tolerate this. When we passed the Humphrey Hawkins full employment bill in the mid-1970s, we considered it appalling that unemployment was 6.3%. It's been north of 8% for 24 months. So this is an urgent emergency situation. And when you look at the August numbers on unemployment, it's just not nothing we can tolerate any longer. So we need a national demand, and we need bold action to put Americans back to work.
When the unemployment numbers came out yesterday, you had tweeted that it was time to get serious on this issue.
Yeah.
If it were up to you, if there was one vote in Congress and it was yours, what plan would you pass? Okay,
here's the plan I propose. Number one, we need to build our nation's infrastructure. According to the American Society of Civil Engineers, we got $2 trillion worth of infrastructure needs across America. We in Minnesota know what failing infrastructure means, because 4 years ago we had a bridge collapse, killed 13 Minnesotans, injured 100 more. We need to repair the infrastructure of America. We're relying on Eisenhower-era infrastructure. We need to make an investment in our kids' future. That would put massive numbers of people back to work. The other thing that we've got, and we could do that by passing a surface transportation bill, a multi-year surface transportation bill, just like Jim Oberstar wanted. We could do that by passing a National Infrastructure Bank bill. But that won't do it all, because then we'll get people who are trained and skilled construction people back on, but it won't deal with the people who may not have high skills but still need jobs. So for those people, we need a public works bill, direct government hiring, and then the third thing we need to do is we need to pass something called Energy Star. Now, what that does is give tax incentives to refurbish, remodel, and retrofit old windy buildings so that they'll be more energy efficient, lower our carbon footprint, and also put people back to work. And then what we need to do is change our trade bills so that we are not exporting jobs to other countries. We need to reestablish and invest in American manufacturing. And let me tell you, I've been abroad, folks. I've been to Saudi Arabia. I've been to different countries. The world still likes American-made products. Don't let anybody fool you. Because, look, if you import everything from China, yeah, you can get stuff really, really cheap, but you can't get stuff really, really good. And the world still wants well-made manufacturing goods. And so, we're working on a reshoring. You talk about offshoring. We're talking about something called reshoring. And we're going to people who have offshored their work and said, look, what is the real cost of offshoring that? I mean, are you bringing back toys with lead in them that kills kids? Are you bringing back fake Viagra? Are you bringing back a bunch of shoddy products and this happens? Or what if you just kept the stuff here, had quality manufacturing, paid people a decent wage, you'd make money. In Germany, they don't send their manufacturing abroad. They keep it in Germany. They pay people right. They give people vacation time, and they got good benefits, and they are fighting for a leading manufacturing role in the world economy. These are things we could do, but we need to have a commitment to American jobs. Now I'm going to say this. Wages are not the only thing that manufacturers consider when they make a decision about where a siting decision. When wages are only one thing, and as a matter of fact, if you go just on wages, you can offshore jobs and end up expending a lot more money. So what I'm saying is, let's reshore American jobs. Let's reward patriotic American companies that keep jobs in America. You do these things, and we will be back on track economically.
The big controversy in Washington this past week, of all things, was President Obama saying to congressional leadership that he wanted to give a speech before Congress Wednesday evening, which happens to coincide with a Republican presidential debate. So Speaker Boehner came back and said, no, come back on Thursday. Let's have the speech on Thursday. And for about 6 or 7 hours on Wednesday, there was tension between when President Obama was going to give a speech. If Congress and the White House can't agree on a plan to give a speech, how are they going to agree on a plan to get jobs back?
I may have a minority view on this, but I don't think it's any big deal. I just don't think I don't think it matters. Bottom line is, I don't think Boehner was trying to embarrass Obama, and I don't think Obama was trying to embarrass Boehner. I think it's something that should have been dealt with privately that sort of exploded publicly, and because of the already existing tension, it looked like another spat. But I guarantee you that it doesn't really matter, and it's not that big of a deal. Look, I've worked with John Boehner. I believe John Boehner wanted to have a decent debt reduction bill. I think that other more extreme elements in his caucus made him not be able to cut that deal. But I think there's respect between the two, and I just hope that this story gets to be yesterday, because I don't think it amounts to a hill of beans. That's my opinion.
In general, though, how are these big, weighty issues like jobs and deficit reduction, how can a Congress and a White House that are so polar opposites of each other at this point, the Republicans and the Democrats, how are they going to be able to work together to create a bill that works?
Well, I think the American people are demanding that we work together. Now, let me just say, Republicans want jobs, too. I'm a Democrat. I'm a proud liberal Democrat, a proud bleeding heart liberal progressive Democrat. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Republicans don't want jobs. They do. They just have a very different idea about how we get them. Now, I believe that when the corporate community has $2 trillion in corporate accounts, and when the Fed has done almost all that it could to try to spur the economy, that the only thing left to really do is do fiscal stimulus from the government. I believe that, and I believe the problem in our economy is inadequate demand. The reason companies aren't hiring is because they don't have customers standing at the door. Why don't they have customers standing at the door? Why don't they have orders? Because people don't have any money. Why not? Because they're unemployed. So this is what I diagnose as the problem. Republicans have another, not all Republicans, some Republicans have another diagnosis of what the problem is. They think the problem is that government is interfering too much, that there's too much regulation, and that we haven't given rich people enough money in order to incentivize them to hire everybody else. I just disagree with that. I think that the history demonstrates that they're wrong about that. But I think the best thing for us to do is stop sort of demonizing and saying you're just evil, you're a bad person, and just admit the truth. We have very different diagnosis about what the problem is and therefore what the solutions are. So if we can get down to that, we might be able to come to some middle ground on some things. If we get down to what, so I don't believe that every single Republican is diametrically opposed to every single Democrat. I believe there's enough overlap so that we can come up with a bill. But we need to stop the name calling, stop the petty stuff, and come up with some solutions that are going to get people working again. And we're not going to agree all the time. And the only way to get a government where everybody, quote unquote, agrees is to get rid of democracy and get a king who just orders us all around. Unless you want that, we're going to have to slug it out in the arena of public opinion and in the legislature, because that's what democracy is all about.
You're the chair, the co-chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, which is obviously the liberal wing of the Democratic Party on Capitol Hill.
We've referred to it as the Democratic wing of the Democratic Party.
All right, fair enough. What's it like to be the leader of this movement, the leader of this caucus, when the majority, and specifically a large voting bloc in that majority, is exactly opposite to what you guys want to get done?
Well, you know what? We know that the odds of us passing our agenda are not super high. So what we do is we engage in the public debate to give Americans a choice, because we are going to have another election in about a year, and Americans will have another chance to vote and decide who they want to represent them in Congress. And we believe our ideas are just better, and that if people are given a choice and if people are engaged, that people will make choices that are for their own benefit. And so this is what we're trying to do. So how do I feel? I'm just fundamentally an optimistic, positive person. And so I don't feel bad. I feel good. I feel like, people have now seen that, actually folks like Rick Perry have publicly said they don't like Social Security. I'm glad he admits it, because we can accuse him of it, but until he says it, seniors will not be able to say, who should I vote for? Perry has said he's against you having income security. We say we're for you having income security. I think people are going to vote their conscience, and vote their pocketbook and vote their common sense. And so at the end of the day, I feel that we have an opportunity to reach out, engage, organize, and that we are going to come roaring back, and that we're going to get this economy on a 40, 50, 60-year trajectory toward prosperity.
In April, the Republican chairman of the Budget Committee, Paul Ryan of Wisconsin, introduced his budget plan. President Obama had put out his budget plan in a speech sometime around then. And the Congressional Progressive Caucus put out one as well. Do you want to walk through what that looks like?
Okay, so the Progressive Caucus put out a budget plan. It's called the People's Budget. Please go look it up on the internet. It's a great document and very common sense. First thing, we say, our budget, Paul Ryan, the conservative budget, the guy who says he's all upset about the deficit, his budget does not come into balance for decades and decades and decades. Ours comes into balance 2021. Our budget comes into balance before the Democratic caucus or the Republican caucus. How do we do it? We do it this way. We say that during the era of Bill Clinton, we had a good economy. We had a certain kind of tax rate. What if we all went back to that? We had a good economy. We had high unemployment. We had record low poverty. Let's go back to Clinton-era tax rates. 2, let's have a public option. According to the Congressional Budget Office, the public option reduces the deficit over 10 years by $125 billion. 3, let's let Medicare negotiate drug prices just like the VA does. That saves about $43 billion. Right now, whatever the drug companies say, pay, Medicare has to pay and cannot use the large buying capacity to get a negotiated lower price. That's wrong. That was a giveaway to Big Pharma, and I'm glad to say I wasn't in Congress then, because that was a shame and a disservice to the American people. 3, let's get out of Iraq and Afghanistan, like ASAP. These wars are no good. Iraq was a mistake from the very beginning, and Afghanistan is absolutely a mistake now. We got to get out, and we got to stop sending $10 billion a week to the loss of our children's lives and and the loss of our reputation internationally. We got to get out of these wars. There's a bad idea, and that's what we need to do. And so we do these things, plus a few others. We will be able to protect Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, protect Pell Grants and student loans, invest in health in Head Start. We'll be able to invest in home heating oil for seniors. We'll be able to make sure that we have an energy-efficient economy and build for an innovative green future. So, we don't think that this is any kind of a far-left budget. This is a mainstream, common-sense budget that balances before anybody else's. The people's budget, look it up. This is the right thing to do.
What was interesting over the summer was, there was about a 2-week break in the middle of the summer from the debt ceiling talks, where people decided to focus on the Libya situation. And you had a bunch of different factions of Congress who either opposed it or supported it that might not have done it in the past. You had fiscally conservative Republicans who opposed it because it cost a lot of money. You had liberal Democrats like yourself who viewed it as sort of a moral imperative for us to be there and support the rebels in that country. Do you want to talk a little bit about what that debate was like this summer?
Let me say this. I believe that almost every military engagement is the wrong thing to do. I said almost. But I believe almost everyone is wrong. Clearly Iraq was wrong. Clearly our engagement in Afghanistan was the wrong thing. But, let us never stand by and watch another Srebrenica. Let us never stand by and watch another Rwanda. Let us never stand by and watch people being slaughtered in places like Bosnia. Let the United States, if we're going to use our awesome military power for something, let it be to protect innocent people. And that's what I believe that. Now, look, we did not put one boot on the ground in Libya. We didn't lose one life. But, for the first time, American flags are being waved in Libya. This is a good thing. We made friends there. They felt like we supported them there. This will save American lives in the long run. And so, in my opinion, I support the president's decision to go into Libya under limited conditions. And guess what? That thing is, one, It's not over, but it's won. And, Gaddafi, and let me tell you, I talked to Libyans. I talked to Libyan Americans who's citizens of our country but who find their roots in Libya. And they said, thank God the United States came in, because otherwise our friends and relatives would be wiped out and you'd have mass graves just like so many other very sad places around the world. So I asked people, I wrote an article on CNN online. I urge people to read it. I thought a lot about this. And so, hey, I saw the done sign, so I want to thank you for time. And I want to apologize for taking away from the music, you guys. I loved it. But be an active citizen, be involved, reach out, engage people. And cynicism is not a virtue. Hope and the American dream are virtues. So you all be well and enjoy the fair.
Congressman, thank you very much. Thank you.
Let's have a round of applause again for Congressman Keith Ellison. Thank you. Take care of your little boo-boo there, sir. All the best to you. Thank you. And Devin Henry, thank you for the great job you do for MinnPost in Washington, D.C. MinnPost Washington correspondent Devin Henry. It would not be Minnesota Community